Well, sweet. That was not fun. We just had technical difficulties for the last 10 minutes, but glad we could start this. So how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I'm glad we get started as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So where are you working now?
I work at a company called GoTo.
Okay.
Yeah. So I currently sell it's software that allows IT professionals to support all of their computers, all of their employees' computers and devices. So run it, like do updates, Windows updates, application updates, fix like little things when employees call in and say, hey, my computer won't restart or something like that. So things I didn't really think about before I started here.
Yeah, that sounds exhilarating.
Yeah, a lot of maintenance goes on. I kind of need like an IT person to like handle my personal computer now.
Yeah, I
Now
mean,
that I know there's so many things to fix.
right? Like we could have used one this morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how long you just started there recently, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty new. I've been here for a few months.
Okay. You liking it so far?
Yeah, I like it so far. Yeah, I like the product a lot. It's a lot more complex than other companies that I've been at.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more to learn, but I like the product and I see a lot of value in it. So it's definitely easier to talk to people about and sell them on it when you actually believe in what you're selling and see the value. So
yeah, totally. I mean, so, for anyone listening right now, me and Sean worked at a company called salary.com together. That's where we met.
Crushed it there.
We crushed it. Salary.com. What's wild to me is now that like I don't work there, like everybody kind of knows what salary.com is. It seems like, right?
Yeah,
like
people went to the free website at least.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Right. Like it was good. Well, first off, SEO is like stellar because it's literally salary.com. And like, what's like always weird about it, like on that note, is that, when you like type it or you'd want to like send, oh, I work for salary.com, but it would always go as a link because it'd be like salary.com. And it's like, how do I write it? Yeah. Yeah, that was like the weird part of like calling a company like, it'd be like if I said thefollowup.com or jointhefollowup.com was like the name, not like follow up.
You started this during like the .com boom.
Exactly. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Did they start during the .com boom?
I think so. Yeah, I think they did.
Okay, because that would make a lot of sense, right? Because wasn't it like, I don't think either of us were old enough to remember this, but from what I've read is basically like if you put .com in your name at that time, it'd be like putting AI in your name these days, right? Like, put AI in your name and your market cap's already like $1 billion and you haven't made any money yet.
Yeah, right. That's how it works.
So I guess that's what it was. So yeah, well, thanks for joining me today. I want to just review the news from this week, the sales news from the follow-up. Pulled out the juicy stuff for us to review here.
Let's do it.
So the first one we got here is sales teams at Google and Twilio say that their productivity is spiking because AI is reviewing and responding to their RFPs basically faster than a human can. So on the note of AI that we were just talking about, right? Like this is a pretty good AI use case in my opinion, right? Like I know there's similar tools doing this that are like input this PDF, we'll read the entire thing for you, and then you can ask us questions about it, which is like, I think one of the coolest use cases.
Yeah, it definitely makes a lot of people's jobs way easier. And, RFPs are no fun.
Yeah, right. Have you dealt with a lot of RFPs before?
I actually haven't in my roles. I'm like one or two, but I've been working like small business or mid-market, so there haven't been too many RFPs that come in.
Yeah, when I was at Drone Genuity, every once in a while we'd get one from like a town or like a like a government entity and whatnot. And they'd be like, we want you to bid this massive project. Sometimes like it was way out of our scope and it was just like we couldn't even do this. But yeah, it takes a lot. Like from what I understand, it usually takes a lot of time. Even when I was at Reflective Selling, I remember we had one or two, and it was like it was a lot of work. They're not a lot of fun.
Yeah, I was like researching more about RFPs, like because I didn't know all that much about them when you sent me that list, and yeah, it's a good way to do it. I mean, it basically like you just send it to all your like potential vendors, and then they fill it out, and you can see everything like side by side, and just literally just like look at column 1, 2, 3, 4, who has the better answer, and then you can just eliminate people that way.
Yeah, 100%.
To save a lot of time.
I always want, like, whenever I see it, I always want to say, like, request for pricing, but it's actually request for procurement, right? It's like fancy word procurement.
I just thought it was request for proposal.
Proposal, yeah. It's procurement, though, right? They had to make it a little fancy. I think it's procurement. It makes sense. I think it's actually used a lot of the time in certain organizations that require an RFP. So, like, let's say you have, like, a mid-level manager or marketing manager that's like, hey, I really like this. Here's where I think it can go wrong. You could have someone that like knows someone at a software company. They really love the product. They want to like help their guy out by buying it, but their company sometimes requires that they go through an RFP process before they make a purchase. So like,
Yeah.
their minds might already be made up before they put out that RFP, and it's like you don't really know.
Yeah. It's just a requirement. Like you said, a lot of like towns and governments do it because they're required to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've worked with somebody who, yeah, I mean, they looked at us and they just said verbatim, like, hey, like we're required to check out like 5 other vendors. So part of the requirements.
Yeah, no matter what. Okay, so next one we got here is our top performing sales reps, typically psychopaths. And one of my favorite, yeah, so this is a post on Reddit. One of my favorite parts of this is it's deleted. So like the person went back and deleted it, but I could still see like all the comments and whatnot. And I wanted to pull like the actual definition of what a psychopath is, which is extreme lack of empathy. Psychopaths may also be manipulative, charming, exploitative, and behave in an impulsive and risky manner. They may lack concise, I'm messing that word up, or guilt, and refuse to accept responsibility for their actions.
Like a great salesperson, honestly. Sometimes I wish I was more of a psychopath.
I was gonna say that, like you're kind of describing like a really good sales rep.
I think we both know like a couple people who are psychopaths.
Yeah, 100%. I think it works more in like high pressure, like hard close situations, right?
Yeah.
Like not like a enterprise deal where you're gonna go for like 6 months to close it, but like if you need to sell someone a car today, I think a lot of those guys are probably psychopaths.
Like faster transactional sales.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was reading an article that said 1 in 5 business executives is a psychopath, which totally makes sense. Probably the same thing for like high up politicians.
Oh, that's so good. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, probably. Yeah, I was listening to Ty Lopez out of all people. I'm sorry. I'm watching a dog right now. She just crawled under the. She's a 90-pound.
I was gonna say my dog's probably gonna open the door at some point.
She's under the bed. Mind you, the bed, like there's like this much room.
Yeah.
She's under it right now. I don't get it.
Yeah.
She's like a 90-pound yellow lab. Probably stuck now. Okay, well, I'll keep going on with this. But so I was listening to something this week about how you can probably see her there. Basically how like the people that are billionaires, right? Like your Elon Musk, your Bezos and stuff like that, right? Like we want to look at them as like, people that are trying to change the world and do all these good things and whatnot. But at the end of the day, they're all kind of like warlords, right? Like to be a billionaire, like you kind of need to be a Trump and all those guys.
Yeah, I don't think I have it in me to like I don't really have a desire to do that. Yeah, I think you have some alternative motives besides just like helping people.
Yeah, right. Okay, next one we got here. This one's pretty interesting. So this girl quit her high-paying sales job. There's no numbers on high-paying, so let's say she's making $100,000. It could be like 80 or 90 grand, but she quit her high-paying sales job. Yeah, she quit her job to live in a Toyota Camry. Which do you? You think you do that?
Yeah, I mean, some days I just want to.
I feel that.
If I'm having a hard day, just like get my car, and I put a mattress in there before. Yeah.
I think so. Basically, she puts like a mattress in her Toyota Camry, and she's like been traveling the country. I think she said she went to North Carolina first, but then she'll camp out at these different sites and whatnot. The numbers that she did give is she basically saved up $18,000 from her job, and she also sold her eggs, and basically she wanted that to last her like as long as possible, and then she wanted to try to make money from content on the way, which
it said like she wanted to last for a year, and then until she builds up with the content.
Yeah, which I mean totally makes sense because like that's the most clickbaity title ever, right? Like I quit my job to live in a Toyota Camry.
I think people start to like I think most people just like search on the internet, like are so intrigued by that topic. People just like leaving their jobs and like just want to do something that they want to do if you ever have a bad day at work. I feel like that's definitely a topic.
Totally. I think this would be very cool for 2 weeks, maybe even a month. But she basically gets up in the morning, she goes to the gym to shower, then she uses like grocery store and gas station bathrooms all day long. And then she like cooks her food on a camper stove. And since like she started out not like having a lot of money, she was spending like $300 or $400 on food per month, which like if you try to eat out every day, it's going to be way more than that, right?
Yeah, she's probably eating beans and rice, and I don't even know what else. Yeah, I
Right.
don't think I could ever do that because I like to cook so much.
Yeah.
I'd have to find a way to do it.
And I was sitting on my couch last night watching TV with my laptop on my lap, like reading through this last night. I'm just like, I'm in a big open space right now. I cannot imagine if I'm in the front seat like of a car, like trying to do this right now. Like, I feel like that would get so old.
Go to a Starbucks.
Yeah. So this one's like a little bit more, I think this was like a Forbes contributor article. So it's a little more like corporate. But the thing that SaaS SDRs actually care about, and I think the guy that wrote this classified himself as like a executive sales development rep, whatever the heck that means. I think it just means that like he's full cycle and closes bigger
Yeah, I saw
deals.
that title too, and I was a little confused. But titles don't really mean all that much.
They really don't.
No.
Yeah, I mean, he could also just be the business owner, right? Like he could just own his own like consulting firm and be like, I'm also the SDR. But okay, they listed the 3 things that SDRs actually want: bigger commissions, tools that can make, BDRs jobs much easier, and then autonomy. What do you think about those 3 things?
If I had to like rank them, I think, what was the first one again?
So bigger commissions. So actually, let me put a caveat on that. So with SDRs, right? Like, our first jobs as SDRs, like most of the time you're basically given a quota on how many meetings you need to set. Sometimes there's little kickers in there if the deal closes, but it's usually on top of funnel, right? So it's like, how many qualified meetings do you set? And what he's saying is that you should get more, basically align incentives more, so that like, let's say if that deal closes, it's at $100,000, right? Like the BDR should get a piece of that, right? Mm-hmm. Which I agree to aligns incentives, like, but it's tough. Like it's such a tough balancing act, right? Because what if that takes 6 months to close? You're just not going to pay the BDR. Like you definitely do need to pay them on top of funnel activities, but it aligns incentives. It's like, once we collect cash, you should get some of that as well.
Yeah, you're right. It's a balancing act. I think you just need a little bit of both. I think in our role, we didn't see all that much like money from like closing deals. But
Nobody was closing deals.
Definitely incentivizes like BDRs to want to follow their deals through the sales cycle and make more qualified meetings. But yeah, you definitely need to get paid off just like booking meetings too, so that like day to day you feel incentivized and you're not just like you said, waiting for 6 months for a payday.
Yeah, 100%. I want to say we got paid like 1% of closed deals. Does that sound right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. I remember when the first deal that I sourced closed, it was like a $45,000 deal. And that was like my starting salary at the time. And I was like, okay, I came in the company and I covered my starting salary. So I did my job. It was. I think that you want to cover like probably double or triple your salary. But I just remember that was like, okay, I've made enough for the company that they can, have me here. And I'll pay for myself.
I can stay.
Yeah. They can write me off. Tools that really matter. I think this one like is getting more and more important. Like if you have a sick tech stack and you can get things kind of more automated. I know everyone's like, automation's everywhere and like you need to be doing more personalized to like cut through the noise and whatnot. But man, like you have to automate so much stuff.
Yeah, you do. I think it's a little bit of both. Like, automation plus just making edits to make it more personal.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's so many tools out there now. And I think both of us have got to use like a lot of them. So we definitely have our preferred tools and some of them are so critical. Like I remember when we didn't have Sales Navigator at one point and I was like, this is so difficult. I took out like 6 trials of it. I think the LinkedIn sales reps were like reaching out to us because it looks like your salespeople are just coming up with new email addresses every day to make new trial accounts that last them a week.
Yeah, dude, you know what that reminds me of? Oh, this is so good. Remember when we had one license to Discover Org and we'd have to go sit at that one computer to go use it?
Yeah, it's like the computer lab.
Yes.
I don't think I sat at that desk like once. Maybe I just wanted to check it out, but I was like, I want to sit at my own desk.
Dude, that is so. And like back then, I didn't really like understand the importance of getting those specific like all those insights because I think you look at org charts and all that stuff. I was a year out of college, like I didn't understand how corporations worked. But like I think it's I still really don't. But I think it's so funny that they only wanted to buy one license, so they were like, "We'll put it on this computer."
Right? Yeah, I think it was like really expensive. It was like tens of thousands of dollars or something. We did not. I don't think we got a return on investment with that one.
Yeah, maybe
we
not.
Did. I don't know.
Yeah, well, we had Zoom Info though, right?
Yeah, we always had Zoom.
And so Discover Org ended up buying Zoom. right? So they all became
Yeah.
one. So so I guess like it all kind of became one. But yeah, I know like with Zoom Info, minimum purchase price is like $10,000 per seat, right? And that only gets you like the starter pack. So yeah, that stuff is
it's
expensive.
But yeah, that's another must-have. I think Sales Nav and Zoom Info I use daily, and then I've grown to really like Outreach a lot. That automates everything.
Yeah, Outreach is sick. Like once you use Outreach, like going back on it is kind of like, I really want that. Like it
Right?
it automates so much stuff. I remember when I left, I went to Salary and then Reflective, and Reflective had it, and then I went to Drone Genuity, and we didn't have anything at all. I remember talking to my boss, the founder, and I was like, hey, we need to check out Outreach. Like we don't have anything. And he took a demo of it, and he's like, oh, this is awesome. It was expensive because I want to say it was like $500 or $600 a month just like per seat. So
Yeah.
if you're like a small 5-person team, that's pretty expensive. But
yeah, you can reach out to so many more people with it. So like sequences and then templates, so you don't have to type out the same thing over and over. I think it saves so much time. You can reach out to so many people. I would imagine that the return on investment happens pretty quickly.
Yeah, 100%. Well, and you can just like build out your sequence. It doesn't necessarily just include automated emails, right? It's like, send this and then set a call task for me the next day, and then set a manual email that I'm going to personalize a little bit, right?
Yeah, it's it like schedules that stuff for you, so you can stay organized. Yeah, it's great. You can do it, both ways. I think right now what I do is like, I think it's like a manual email, so it shows me the task and then it has an email, but I have the chance to like edit it before I send it, and then I just click send and it goes out. Yeah, those are super helpful.
Yeah, for sure. What about this last one, autonomy? What do you think about that? I think it's different. I'll just give my opinion, I guess. I was going to ask yours, but I'll just give mine. I think when you're like super entry level, you actually shouldn't have that much autonomy. But I think as you get like higher up and you're closing deals and things like that, I think you probably need more. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with. I didn't really think about that, but that's probably true. You don't really know what you're doing early on. Of course, everyone would love more freedom, but yeah, you're right. A structure definitely helps, and then once you get an understanding of what you're doing, yeah, you should definitely have more freedom. I always hated just having like call metrics and stuff like that, especially if you're like booking the amount of meetings and getting opportunities, and then you have somebody like over your shoulder like, hey, it looks like you're the top performer on the team, but your calls are a little bit low. It's because I'm being more efficient.
No, totally. Yeah,
me personally, I like all the freedom.
I used to dread those one-on-ones where, they're just going to review all of your activity and be like, well, why isn't this one moving forward? Well, they're not interested. Why aren't they interested? Well, they said they already have a tool. Yeah. The best is when your manager has never made a cold call for your product in his life. And he's telling you all that stuff,
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
Yeah. What they would have done.
Exactly.
What I did when I was a BDR.
Yeah. 17 years ago.
17 years ago when I was selling insurance.
Yeah. When I sold cars on the car lot, Okay. Okay. So this last one we got here is, I love this. Okay. So when salespeople are asked, what do you do for a living? What's your response?
I think it depends who I'm talking to, and like if they really want to hear like what my job is and if they'll even understand it. But yeah, so if I'm talking to somebody that's also in sales and like we know that, it like, oh yeah, I work at this company and we're in this industry and I sell new business or whatever I'm doing at the moment. But yeah, I think most of the time it's like, yeah, I'm just in software sales.
Yeah.
What about you?
I usually say the same thing. I usually say like where I work just because it's like everybody knows it. And then I just say I'm in sales, and then they're like, okay, what do you actually sell? Right? That's how it usually goes. Because I usually don't offer up like, I sell blah, 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 blah. Because it's kind of weird. I mean, the examples they give here is so funny. Like, so this is a Reddit post, and they basically said there's two types of people, right? One of them says I work in sales, and the other says I'm a global strategic enterprise account director for Butco, where we help CIOs smell and analyze their own farts using LMs and AI.
If you go to a bar in Southie, that's how everybody describes their role,
right? Like, yeah, I'm a very important person. It's like, no, you're in sales. It's kind of like a lot of Wall Street guys, right? Like investment bankers and things like that. Like, yes, they do investments in finance and stuff like that, but a lot of them are kind of glorified salespeople at the end of the day, right? Like they're selling something.
Yeah, yeah, you're right on that. I remember playing golf with this guy that it was just like a random that we were paired up with, and he's like, "Oh, I'm an executive." I was like, "Oh my God, that's so cool."
Yeah.
Later to find out that it's like, "Oh, he's an account executive."
Oh. Yeah. Oh man, that reminds me of
I'm in the same role.
that reminds me of people at banks. Everyone's a vice president. Yeah, I'm the vice
right.
president. It's like,
Yeah,
so
I'd love to be a vice president.
I've heard maybe this is a conspiracy theory. I don't know, but I've heard that they make everyone vice presidents at banks because that technically makes them an executive, and they can take out a life insurance policy on all their executives.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
I haven't confirmed that, but I heard that somewhere. So I'm gonna run with it like it's fact.
Yeah, yeah.
But it would kind of make sense. I don't know. Well, sweet. That's all I got. Anything else you want to talk about?
I don't know. Not really. How's your week going?
It's good. It's good. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Yeah, it's good so far. Yeah, I guess we're basically at the end of it. How about yours?
Yeah, it's good. Definitely happy that it's Friday. I'm like burnt out. We had so many weeks, like I feel like in the past where it was just like when I first started, it was just like 4-day weeks and like 3-day weeks, just like it just happened to be holidays and PTO and everything. And now I just had some like 5-day weeks in a row, and I'm like oh God, this is the norm.
This sucks. Yeah. No, I feel you. Well, sweet. I'll wrap it up there. Thanks for joining.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks for having me.